Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. Zero diamonds, zero.
Thank you for tapping into the Exclusive Minds podcast. Today we're going to be having an exclusive conversation with exclusive content from Exclusive Minds. I'm your host, Rook, and
Joe.
Let's get right into it.
Alrighty. Welcome back. This is episode 20.
Yo.
It's another milestone.
Yep, absolutely. We're now
2 decades old.
2 decades old, yeah. I mean, we're about to hit our, quarter life crisis, I think, soon here.
Yeah.
In 5 episodes, so.
Another episode we'll be able to legally drink.
Yeah,
it's
right.
going to be good. So, so I know we were just talking about how I think we're getting to the point where we need to actually start to think and plan and put a little more effort into the podcast, because I think the last 3 or 4 episodes we've just completely wung it, right? We just sort of got together, turned on the mic, and started talking, and had a couple things to talk about. But I think this is the first time we've maybe hit the wall where we're like, oh, what do we talk about? What do we talk about?
I feel like anyone could just sit there and talk for an hour and then just kind of be like meaningless substance. I think what Joe's trying to say is like actually plan for what we're going to be talking about. And throughout the week, I mean, me and him always talk about like, we'll try to pay attention to the smaller details of things to kind of bring it up and all that. And I definitely have. I just kind of like write it in my notes, but it's only like 5 things throughout the week that I'm like, all right, I could touch on this. And then after that, I'm like, all right, Joe, what do you got? He's just like,
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, so I mean, we'll just we'll give it some thought, but
yeah, I mean, it was definitely in the first one, like we always talk about, we had that whole mind node thing that we would go in and kind of look at it more as a presentation.
I still have that, and I'm still tracking. Like I actually.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, but I literally put, you know how I do the recap of the podcast for all the podcasts have the list of
the
what,
news,
what we're doing.
Newsletter.
So I have it all saved. So I know all the topics we talked about for all the episodes and stuff like that. So I still have that.
Yeah,
I still track it.
Every time you send out the newsletter, I always read the whole thing, but it is worded really nice, and I didn't know you saved them, which is
I mean, I've gotten it dialed in, so it's now kind of like cut and paste, rinse and repeat.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's pretty good. I mean, even the podcast. I mean, it's good and bad, right? I'm kind of, I guess I'm lazy and I'm not going back and editing anything. Like I even know what the intro, like you say Rook and then I say Joe and you can barely hear it, right? And I should go back and edit it, but I haven't done that. And so it's one of those things where I've sort of got it where I can, we record this and I literally can have it up in about an hour, right?
Okay.
But it's,
you have a pretty good schedule. Whenever, as soon as we're done, like you get it out for the most part that same day.
Because I mean, I'm just cutting and pasting like over top of the previous episode, and I mean it's pretty much dialed in, but the problem is like it's still rough around the edges. I mean, I'm not an audio engineer, but it's it gets it done.
We get it done, absolutely. I mean, that was the kind of the whole point. Just everything's a learning experience with us. And on top of that, if the people that are listening, we just had a conversation about people that we want to get on here. Like we don't want to just kind of have like average people, like not average people, but like
President Trump.
Oh yeah, with the NELK stuff.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Actually.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But like we so if you guys have anyone that is chasing after a certain goal, or anyone that has aspirations or kind of doing their own thing, creating a new lane for their business or family or whatever, definitely recommend them to us, or have them shoot us an email or DM. I mean, file like at the email team at exmnds.com. We'll check it out and make sure to reach out to them people. So we definitely want to have some people on.
If it's easier to remember, you can actually just go to exclusivemindspodcast.com.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And that'll actually redirect you to the
perfect
Exclusive Minds website. So that might be easier to remember, because I was kind of thinking about that, and we've long vented about the fact that we don't have exclusiveminds.com, but exclusivemindspodcast.com will also get you there.
Sweet. All right, let's get into it. So you had something you want to talk about with the whole Trump and NELK boys thing?
I was traveling last week in Columbus, Ohio, and Cleveland, Ohio, and I guess it was on the early part of that you sent me a text saying, "Hey, did you check out the NELK boys interviewing Trump?" And I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So I actually ended up listening to it. And, it's typical Trump, right? I mean, he pretty much says the same thing on every podcast. Oh, my God.
He says the same. So that was the thing that me and my friends noticed. Like, extremely, like, I'm very down the middle with politics. They're kind of more, I guess, Republican stance. And they were just like, this is actually not a good look for Trump because of how much of like the same stuff that he says over and over and over again. Like every question, he kind of just reiterated the same thing. And he was just like, there's no substance here. Like this is just the same stuff.
It's not entirely new. I mean, if you ever watched any of his rallies and stuff, he pretty much just, it's rinse and repeat, right? So, I guess there's pros and cons to it, right? I mean, the pros are he knows the talking points that everybody reacts to, and he's just kind of rinsing and repeating his favorable ones. And so I don't know. I mean, if you follow him, you're like, okay, this is, it's the same old, same old. Mm-hmm. It was kind of interesting though, because he did kind of break down the fact that, those guys were, the whole thing was going to get banned. And I heard, I heard it got pulled from Twitter. Did that happen, or do you know?
Twitter, I'm not too sure. I definitely know for a fact, 1,000%. YouTube, got taken down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, YouTube, it got shut down right away. Spotify, they uploaded it. It's good.
Because I listened to it on Apple Podcasts, so I mean, I know it was still up.
Oh, yeah. I watched it on
Noah
YouTube.
was asking me about it, and I ended up listening to it a second time with him, and that was Friday. That was kind of well after it had already been out, and it was still available on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, no. What happened was, since I watched their like older podcasts, like the whole Antonio Brown thing and everything like that, it pops up on my YouTube, my whatever it's called, the recommended, and I had a picture of him, and I'm like, what? Like, are they talking about him? And lo and behold, like they went to some building. I forget the name of the building, but
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago, yeah, right, Florida. Exactly. So they went there, and then he was actually there, and I watched the whole thing on YouTube, and I think like you said, he talked about like, hey, this is gonna get taken down. Like, don't fall to the pressure because they're about to start coming for your pockets and everything like that. And lo and behold, like that's exactly what happened. So I mean, at least he has good self-awareness or whatever. But they ended up like re-uploading it on their website and everything like that. And if you guys are not even big into politics, I mean, it's a good watch just to kind of see what they were talking about in certain topics. Like at one point they were talking about like his relationship with Putin, and they're like, could you just give him a call and tell him to like relax and stuff?
Yeah, chill
and
out,
he's
bro.
like, it's like not that type of connection anymore. You have to be someone in
you
power
have to be the
like,
president of the United States.
Exactly.
You got to have the juice, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to push back.
Yeah, it's not like how like I would just call Joe and be like, yo, man, like.
It's funny though, because you got to love Trump. Like, he is the ultimate troller. Like, he knows exactly there are some choice words that he says, and he's doing it on purpose because he knows it's going to trigger he's going to trigger big tech. Like, he calls it the China virus, right? Instead of COVID. Yeah. There's all these things, these little nuances that he does because he's trying to push buttons.
I mean, the one thing that I thought was kind of fascinating.
Oh, you know what? We probably shouldn't have said that. Now we're going to, if they ban us, that would be kind of funny.
I mean, who cares, right? The one thing I found that was pretty interesting that I did not know before was he was talking about because obviously gas prices are like a huge thing right now. He was talking about during his run, he had it going for like $30 a barrel, or he kept saying it over and over again.
Yeah,
at some point
he had
we
a sub
actually had
$30 a barrel, and I guess I'm pretty sure it's probably accurate. He said he was sub $2 a gallon.
Yeah. I mean, and that's cool and everything like that. I mean, I just didn't know.
And he said you got to give him props. They have audio clips of him at his rallies basically saying if Biden got in the office, gas was going to be $5, $6, $8, $9 a gallon. And
I mean, here we are now. I mean, I believe that he's like kind of like, he reminds me of like an Alex Jones type. You know how like Alex Jones like says the most outlandish stuff and it's like ends up being true, like some of it, some of it, right? And it's just like, holy shit, like you actually have to fact check what they're saying and stuff. So I mean, if that is pretty impressive, the $2 thing. I mean, but you have to also take in consideration there's a war going on right now.
That's obviously that's impacting the price, but the reality is even before
a little bit
Russia
before,
invaded Ukraine, the gas was still almost $4 a gallon. So it's like, come on.
And then the other takeaway on that note was he like filled the reserve of the stuff. I never knew that. I mean, there's just some basic stuff that I just like didn't know. I kind of watched.
Yeah, so I mean, when gas was like, so here's the problem, right? I mean, back when gas was below $30 a gallon, that actually, it's really funny, right? It's great for consumers, but it actually hurts the gas and oil industry because, it costs them money to obviously pull oil out of the ground. And when it gets down to $30 a barrel, it's not cost effective for them to actually do it. So what Trump did is he said, okay, I'll guarantee you that I'll buy oil,
X amount.
and he just refilled the strategic reserve, and that apparently hadn't been done in eons, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, now they're tapping into that, I hear, to kind of...
well, it's...
You don't think so?
He's tapping into it. You have to keep in mind, like, the consumption in the U.S. per day is just insane. Like,
Okay.
it's, I don't know what
I would
it is,
imagine,
but it's
right?
tens of millions of barrels a day. Right? So Biden goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to release 60 million barrels from the strategic reserve. If you're a layman and you don't know, you're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. 60 million barrels? It's like 6 days worth of oil.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so it's kind of smoke and mirrors. I mean,
Gotcha.
He talks the story, but it's not really.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, it was just kind of more fascinating to see that kind of collaboration happen. Obviously, Dana White had a
huge
massive,
part in it, yeah.
massive part in that. But no,
It's not.
it was
And
cool.
so apparently, it's not the. They
met
did
3
it before.
times.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, I just picked up on them not too long ago.
This was the first time that they recorded it. The first 2 times, the one was at, I guess, one of his rallies, and then the other time,
Oh, they met, but it wasn't.
yeah, it was
actually recorded.
and then the other one was like Dana White. They were on Air Force One with him, and he has like an office in there, and
yeah.
Dana White just kind of was like, "Hey, do you guys want to quickly meet him?" And it was just another quick exchange. This was like the first time that it was like an hour long. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, it was cool to see that. I mean, like you never really see stuff like that. I mean, besides the other cool thing was,
So we should probably. I mean, we talked about this for the last I don't know 10 minutes. We should have framed it. So for those that don't know, right, the NELK boys are.
the Full Send guys. Who
Yeah,
are the
Full
Happy
Send is
Den
the
guys.
podcast. There are 20 somethings that.
They made it with the prank stuff, and then kind of
Yeah.
pivoted that to
And
like
they-
a brand.
They generally gravitate towards generational interviews with.
Hot as a pistol, as a you call it.
Yeah. They call it a pod, by the way. They don't call it a podcast. They call that was
Pod.
I like the vernacular, like pod.
Yeah.
This is the pod. I'm
Yeah,
like,
they also call because they're from Canada. They also call like talking to girls chirping. You're chirping at girls.
they're Canadian.
Yeah,
I never picked up on that.
The Steve guy that wasn't really talking. He's from Florida. The guy that like chugs all the alcohol, like crazy Floridian. And then the other guys, they're all from Canada for the most part. I think like the Kyle guy was. I'm not too sure about like the other 2, but yeah, they're for the most part from Canada.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. No, the other collab that I saw that was awesome, it was actually a podcast. It was Mr. Beast, the guy with the chocolate bars that we talked about, the chocolate bars and all these crazy YouTube video ideas. And he got on Joe Rogan, which was pretty dope. I never really seen like a YouTuber crossover into that Joe Rogan sphere of stuff. So I watched that, and it was really cool to see them two kind of like talk and get to like really know each other for the first time.
Oh, so he was on Rogan's podcast.
Yeah, not ours, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was dope. I watched the whole thing, and it's crazy that like Rogan, he just has it down to like a science, man. They could talk for like 3 hours just about like daily events, like we talked about with Full Send. Like they just talk about like their, I guess, like day-to-day stuff, and everyone's just like so gravitated towards it. You know what I mean? It's wild, just the pull that guy has.
Yeah, I'm always amazed. I mean, I'm like 3 hours, and he does it he doesn't do it every day, but I mean, it's
like 3 times a week.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I mean, the thing is, who's got the time to actually listen to that podcast?
Yeah, right. Someone that's like working, I guess, like a full-time job.
Every
like,
once in a while. I mean, I listen to Rogan every once in a while. And when he left Apple, it's really funny. I mean, it's so easy to get on Spotify. And as soon as he left Apple Podcasts, I can't say I've listened to any of his episodes because I'm just that's where I go for my podcast. It's not.
No, yeah.
I'm an Apple junkie, but I mean, I think it's just kind of where I naturally had always gravitated. So when he went to Spotify, I'm like, I'm not going to bother.
That's funny you say that. I was the same way, but so I went through a couple, like I had SoundCloud to listen to music for a long time, which is just like a free streaming service. Then I went to Spotify, and I had Spotify Premium, but I just always kind of gravitated more to Apple Music, and I don't know if it's because it was cheaper or if it had the student discount thing or the family plan or whatever, but I always gravitated towards Apple Music, and then the Apple podcasting, like you said, and I also stopped listening to his stuff, but then I just was like, all right, let me just bite the bullet because this other guy has a podcast that's solely Spotify, and I was just like, all right, might as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I think part of it's the reason why it took us an extra month or two to get on Spotify, because I was just like, it's just kind of indifferent. I can get on Apple Podcasts, so I can listen to it on Apple Podcasts. But yeah, so I don't, I can't say that I've listened to Rogan too often. And even back when he was on Apple Podcasts, because it was a 3-hour commitment, I would only listen to those interviews that sort of sound interesting. Like he had tons of MMA guys on, and I would some of them I didn't even know, and I'm sure the conversations were really cool. But I would gravitate towards the stuff that made sense. Like obviously when he was interviewing Yee and some other stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely agree with you on that one.
Look at me using the correct names. So, I'm hot.
Yeah, hot as a pistol. No,
Speaking of Yeezys, are we going to get into that too? Because are you as pissed as me?
Yeah, so this weekend there was a couple Yeezy drops. It was the 3 foam runners. Three foam runners, which are like the Croc looking ones, and then the one just traditional, like the older model
black with the cream stripe or whatever.
Exactly. And I struck out on all 3. I'm convinced that the confirmed app's broken on my phone. Every time I go on it, I have to re-enter my credentials and everything like that, even though I'm signed in. And like my credit card, it'll just have the last 4 digits. It won't have the whole thing. So I'm like, does it maybe like I'm winning all this time?
It saves it and then doesn't show it or something like that.
No, but I click on it to see that it has everything. It'll have the expiration, it'll have the CVV, but it won't have my full thing. It'll just have the last 4.
Well, I mean, when you click that confirm button, if it accepts it, that means your credit card's valid.
Oh, okay. Does it?
Yeah, because they're sort of pre-running your credit card anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I just look at it, and every time I do it, I have to like retype it in. So I'm like, dude, am I winning this whole time?
Well,
and they're just like not running.
I mean, they have like that points system.
Uh-huh.
And I did notice that when I was winning, I was at the highest tiering, and as soon as I dropped down tierings, I can't win to save my life. I mean, I don't know when the last time I won a pair of shoes was.
Yeah, it's funny that we talk about this and it's like we won a pair of shoes. We're not winning a pair of shoes. We're winning. You know what I mean? We're winning an entry slot to buy a pair of shoes.
Like, oh my god, you won shoes! Like, well, I won the right to spend $200 and some on a stupid pair of shoes.
It's
it is annoying when you.
It is like a kind of like a fool's game. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah, but we talked about it. It's just such brilliant marketing.
It is. Because it feels like I'm part of this club, but you know what I mean? Like I won, and it's like you can't back out of buying it because you know what you won.
I know, and here we are talking about how angry we are that we did not win the chance to buy.
We did not win the chance to spend
hundreds of dollars in shoes. I mean, how stupid is that?
Because think about it, if we were to hit on them, the 3, that's 80 each, so 3 times 80, whatever it is, and then plus the 230. So it's
actually, I think those cloud foams were 90 now. They went up.
I know, and I saw the Yeezy that were 220. Now they're 230.
Yeah, everything's
so the little tax. I don't know what's going on there. No,
he's got those boots coming out now though, in I think 3 days.
I've never been a big fan of the boots. I mean, I didn't even check them out.
I think they look good, so I'm gonna take a swing at it.
Yeah, I never.
The other thing I think is really annoying is the confirmed app. If you run a VPN, like I run a VPN on my phone.
Mm-hmm. These ones.
Yeah, those. Okay. If you run a VPN on your phone, like the app, I guess they're smart enough to know that you're running it through a VPN and it blocks you out.
Oh, okay.
So I don't get the notifications because I think like a week or 2 ago there was like a notification that came out that said that there's a couple of V2s that you could just go online in an hour window and buy. And I didn't get the notification until after my VPN shut down. And all of a sudden I get this notification. I click on it and I'm like, sold out. I'm like, what the hell is this? I just got it. And it turns out I think my VPN was blocking it.
Those boots, I think they had those in Foot Locker. I don't know when the last time you went to a Foot Locker was, but
never.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
Okay. They had those in Foot Locker for a long time because that's when I was going there to buy the Pharrell shoes. The human races, because they would carry them in stores. I don't even know if they carry them in stores anymore. That's how like out of touch I am from the mall. The only thing that I want from the mall is the Nespresso machine, the coffee maker that we talked about.
I mean, I know that, God, this is going back before COVID. I thought what they did is they did some releases online and some releases were only available in the store.
Yeah.
And just like you, I never bought a pair of Yeezys in the mall, right? Mm-hmm. They've always been online. So I don't know. I mean,
you know who's had great luck with that? Mario and Mikey. they actually had good luck with buying shoes at the mall. I don't know how they knew the right time. Or
Were they actually like going and camping out like before?
No, I don't think. I think they were just like the popular ones, like the if you remember.
Because I just assumed that all the employees like
just kind of back.
I mean, back when you actually could flip them for some serious profit, right? I just assumed all the employees took them and
so
their buddies, hey, I'll save you a pair. I'll hold them off.
I know this kid who used to pay his, I don't know if they were buddies or associates, to backdoor him shoes. Like he would be paying them like thousands of dollars to get all the new stuff early. And you would actually have to go straight to the manager, because I know in the King of Prussia one, like the big mall around us, they couldn't necessarily do it because like the managers were a little bit more strict. But like the Christiana Mall, he like was plugged in with them, and he would get all these new shoes and sell them and everything like that. He had it to like a system. Like then again, it's also like one of those kids that has one of those faces that's like, F you, dude. Like he was just, he was just kind of like I don't want to get into it, but he was crazy. Long story short, though, did you see that Snoop Dogg joined FaZe Clan?
I did.
Did you see that?
I saw it. I don't know where I did see it. I don't know how I saw it.
Yeah, it was on Twitter. That's like where I got all these.
See it.
That's actually crazy. I saw he was wearing the FaZe chain when he was at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Performing in front of that, which is pretty cool. I didn't know he was like a huge gamer like that. Another thing,
I don't think he is, but I mean, I'm guessing he's not a big gamer.
Probably just like an investor or some sort.
He's probably getting paid a crap ton of money, or he's getting a percentage of ownership at this point.
Yeah, for sure. The next topic I have, we'll just do like kind of like a, what do you call it? Fire takes or something like that. Just because I have like a bunch of like useless facts here. This one I found on another one from Twitter. Kanye West and Antonio Brown are extremely serious, in quotes, about purchasing the Denver Broncos.
I shouldn't say that. He's, it's funny. Like when you first said it, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like McGregor talking about buying
the
Chelsea
MMA
Football Club or something like that. And it's like, he doesn't have that kind of money. And then I'm like, well, maybe
he's getting
like,
close.
Obviously Yeezy does, right?
Yeah.
Or Yee does. So, I mean, he's a billionaire. And I keep thinking,
I mean, I don't know Antonio Brown's financials, but I would imagine that would probably be more majority Kanye if they were to go into something. I
mean,
that.
Typically what happens with obviously buying a professional football team is going to cost you probably, I'm guessing, $2.5 to $3 billion.
I was going to say, right.
So it's typically not one person buying it. Even when it's one person who's kind of the point man, it's usually a consortium of money that's coming in, because even billionaires don't have $3 billion in kind of just spare change sitting in the bank, right? It's easily invested, and it's.
So is that just like a flex, or is that something that is like a profitable business?
Buying a football team?
Yes.
It's profitable.
It is?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, so where you make, the day-to-day operations and stuff like that, I don't know if these guys are pulling money out of it. I'm sure some of them are, but where you make that money is you buy it, you buy it for $3 billion, and in 10 years it's worth $10 billion.
Okay, so like for example,
it's like buying art.
Ruben, right, the 76ers guy.
Yeah.
That he just bought it as like, all right, this is like a business that I'm going to start to kind of like run, and okay, I didn't know if it was like a flex, like, yo, by the way.
But I mean, even this isn't his main. I mean, he
did the cards, right? Like card trading or something like that.
Well, there's a couple guys. Who am I thinking of? The one dude's a hedge fund guy, so
I have no idea.
Like investing in stocks and stuff like that is their day-to-day job. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I think it's few and far between that actually run it as a business. Like the Yankees, like Steinbrenner, I think
he does it as a business.
It was his full-time business. But generally speaking, it's just an investment, and it's almost like a piece of art, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, hey, whatever pays the bills, I guess. Next on the list, we had a couple more sports stuff. I saw Carson Wentz is going to the Commanders. I mean, that guy can't stay put right now.
Like I said, we talked about this before. I don't know, man. I mean,
just bad luck. Maybe ever since that one injury, I feel like he's kind of, I don't know, been off the stardom path.
he didn't have a great year with Indianapolis, got hurt again, and he was out a bunch of games, and I don't know. I mean, it's just obviously something's going on. I mean, I would assume that this Washington gig is his last chance, and then he's pretty much probably out of the game completely. I mean, you can't go to.
Yeah, he has to go kind of crazy here. Yeah, whatever.
Sucks that he's kind of up against the Eagles now. I mean, like I said, I wasn't one of those guys who was kind of like angry about it, but
No, I always thought he was a good player.
now that he's at the Washington Commanders, I can't even
Dude,
say it's stupid.
There's some throws before his injury that were like, how the hell did he manage to get these off? Like, he's getting tackled, one arm down.
He was
to the
definitely
side.
a different player before he blew out his
and he was like doing some like absolutely crazy stuff. Next, we got this Sixers game, the Sixers versus the Nets. That was like a big talked about game.
That was a disappointment for Philly fans.
So for the people that don't know, the Nets had James Harden before they swapped Harden and Simmons.
Yeah.
And they,
And Simmons didn't even play, but
yeah, well, he was on the bench. I saw like a bunch of people on Twitter like booing him, but yeah, talk about disappointment. They lost by what 30 points.
They got blown out.
Yeah, dude. But no, so these tickets actually were the most in-demand tickets for Sixers in the last 10 years. The worst seats being at $200, which is pretty impressive. I mean, I went to a Sixers game maybe 2016, and the tickets were like $30, maybe $25.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all sports. Attendance and ticket prices ebb and flow, right? So, yeah, I mean, the Sixers, you couldn't sell tickets to save your life up until just recently. So
yeah, that's all I had for the Twitter stuff. I had a couple things. This week's actually was my like my midterms and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was just locked in trying to get that done. And one of the professors kind of had a section on time management. And I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel you are good at managing your time?
Not very good.
Yeah. Why is that? Just like you feel like you're too, like you just get locked in on a certain project, have to finish that till the end? Or do you feel like you just kind of have so many things you have to keep open at all times?
I think I just keep a lot of stuff open. It's funny because we're having this conversation because my email and my work email inbox has just gotten so out of control. I've literally been spending like the last week just trying to catch up on stuff.
Gotcha,
and,
okay.
I kind of, sometimes I'm really good about it, and then sometimes I let it go. And then when you let it go, it just spirals out of control. And even with like work related projects, and it's probably the same as like a report that's due at school, right? I tend to procrastinate until like the 11th hour and then kind of scramble and get it done. So
right. No, I definitely understand that. I feel like where I stand on that whole conversation is like I'm good at understanding the concept of time. It's just my timing seems to be so. Like for example, if like before I came over here, I'm like, all right, I'm probably going to be at Joe's for like an hour and a half, right? And that's like a pretty good estimate, I would say. Yeah. Like between everything that we have going on, but it's just the timing of like, all right, I'm going to be at your house by 2:00. I'll be like, all right, it's going to be closer to 2:30 in reality. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like I have a good sense of like duration of time. It's just the actual time is like kind of where I kind of get messed up at. But that's neither here nor there.
I mean, I don't think I have any issues not getting things done when I say I'm going to get them done.
Like deadlines.
I think where my time management kind of sucks is the day will be going and sure enough I'm getting the 2 or 3 things that I sort of have to get done, but then I'll have like these periods of maybe a couple hours where I just really waste the time, where I could have probably done something that would have been more productive or other things on my want-to-do list that I could have done, and for whatever reason, it just spirals out of control, and the next thing you know, I'm playing Dying Light or some dumb shit, or just sitting around doing nothing for, and it may only be like an hour or two before I kind of jump back into the next thing. But, I mean, I could have productively used that hour or two better if I sort of maybe micromanage my day, but
not everyone's
most people don't do that. I mean,
who does? Yeah, right. I mean, we always talk about timing from behind the scenes when it comes to like branding and stuff like that too, because when you run a business that's like kind of clothing where you're kind of putting out a product to consumer, it's different than I would say the type of timing that me and you were talking about, because when you're putting out a product, you almost have to be thinking like 3 steps ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? Because, we might be working on something now where it's like, oh my God, we want to have, these sweatpants, sweatshirts, this. And then by the time everything's falling into place, it's midsummer. You know what I mean? So it's like, we just kind of have to adjust that calendar. And like, I think, for our experience, what we've kind of been doing is like what I sent you the other day. March, we're going to try to do this, rather than like.
Yeah, we've gotten away from that, which is probably not a good thing because we've been spending so much time just trying to find the right clothes and stuff like, and the people to do it. I mean, we kind of got ourselves in trouble over the last couple of releases because we, obviously in our heads are making promises that will turn and deliver product, and then the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, it's taking some extra time to order, or something's back ordered, or the printer can't get to it right away, or we missed the window and now we're pushed back 2 weeks in the queue. And
I think the worst that happened to us was just like the whole stuff with the breast cancer hoodies, because that was like I think the 1 year we were like
we missed October, right? And we ended up shipping in November, which is like, oh, okay, that was brilliant.
I mean, that stuff happens, but I still can't wrap my head around the Yeezy stuff. That was just the first example I could think of. Just like the sheer like timing it took just to ship out. Like I know, and there's
imagine nothing if you to it, right? Yeah. I mean, it is literally just there's no like extra printing or any of this other stuff. It is just a black hoodie. It's like, okay, why did that take 8 weeks to get it?
Exactly. I mean, granted they're probably running a huge scale operation, but this is nothing new for them, right? Like
you would think.
This is something that's probably been done many of times for them. So I don't know. I feel like we've done a good job of shipping. It's just like the timing's just always slightly
I have to go back because I ordered that hoodie middle of December and it shipped whenever we talked about it. Right? So it was February. So they said it was going to be like 6 to 8 weeks, and it was probably close to 6 to 8 weeks. I can't remember if they actually billed me up front when I ordered it in December, or if they charged me when they finally shipped it. I think they may have charged me
after or before.
I think they charged me in December, and sat on my money for 8 weeks, which is good business as well.
Yeah,
I mean, we did that, right?
So let's talk about that for a second. I mean, I always have a kind of an internal conflict with that, just because for two things. I mean, buying something and then kind of waiting on it is, kind of just like it's like taking out a loan that doesn't have any interest. You know what I mean? Because we're kind of taking the money and then building and doing all the product and everything, the development behind it. I mean, we're not sitting on it for 2 months like how that is, but it kind of makes you teeter the line of ethics a little bit, just because, as soon as you buy something, you want to have that next thing within the same.
Yeah, I mean, so we obviously suffered through that, right? We basically did that. We said, we're going to take pre-orders, we're going to take your money, and then we'll have your product out in the next 10 days. And after 10 days, we still didn't have freaking product, and we're like, oh, we were going mental about it. So there's two ways to look at it, right? One is, it's kind of lame, to make people pay before you actually ship them something. But then the other thing is, what people need to keep in mind is by doing it that way, right, we keep our costs down because, we're not outlaying the money.
Exactly.
We're ordering exactly what we know is sold, right? There's no extras that, people, you think, right?
Yeah, you look at the balance sheet and it's like, all right, this is going to this.
Yeah,
this is going
if we
to this,
have,
right.
Whatever it is, 10, 20 extra hoodies, there's a cost associated with that, and they sit and rot, and we have to discount them or lower the perceived value of the product.
And we're out that money, right?
We're out because we paid for it. Yeah. So, the nice thing is we can kind of keep the costs under control because we don't have to bake in, dead material into the cost of the ones that buy. So, yeah, sure. We charge up front. I don't think there's a situation where we would ever keep someone's money for.
Oh, no.
Even a month. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Typically, we try and get down to like a 2 or 3 week window at most, and that's usually accidental. So
no, that's actually a fantastic point. I'm actually glad you brought that up. That's actually huge. You want to talk about the only time that we had like that quote unquote return for that order in Paris with the mask? Like, remember that?
No, it was Canada.
Canada, was it? The email?
Yeah, it was. I guess I don't even. That was one of those things that I think we got as a result of some Facebook advertising, right? Because we were like, how the hell did this we sold? I mean, typically we're obviously a US based sales, right? Everything is in the US, and we ran some Facebook ads that were supposed to only be in the US, and I'm sure they were. These people were probably using VPNs or something to kind of get into the States. And we ended up taking orders for some face masks. When we did the Exclusive Minds face masks, there was one order in Paris,
which was awesome. We saw that we were over the moon. We're like, geez.
Yeah, and then there was a couple of orders out of Canada, and we ended up shipping the one to Paris. I think we just sent it through the post office, and we ended up losing money. Yeah,
we
lost
lost
but we
money
sent it
on it.
anyway because we were like, it was cool. Let's talk about how we we sold something to overseas. I don't think we do it again. It was just one of those things, right? So that was kind of cool. But then, the Canadian ones, and shipping into Canada is just as much of a pain in the ass, right? You got. I think in the case of the face masks, they were small enough that we actually almost snuck it through without customs declarations because it was just in an envelope. But you typically, if you're shipping a hoodie, anything, right?
If we had to
do
ship
a custom declaration and pay taxes, and it's just a mess. And we sent this woman. We sent her. I think it was just like 1 or 2 face masks, and we're talking like $9, right?
Yeah.
And the shit, in those cases, we probably broke even, if anything. And she gets it, and she's like,
I tried it on.
Yeah, I tried it on, and it's not what I was expecting. I'd like to return it. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, that was the only situation where we had a return ever. But
and we didn't return it.
No, we didn't.
We basically just sent her an email saying, look,
we said we could give her store credit, I believe, or something.
No. What we ended up doing is we told her. We said, look, we can't take back face masks for obvious reasons, I would think. And
excuse me.
And I said, the only way we take it back is if you shipped it back, and it's not worth it. So I said, for customer satisfaction reason, what we did is we gave her a discount coupon for a future order off of, what it was, 20% off of
whatever.
The next run, even including first runs. And I don't think she ever took us up on it, but asked for it and wanted it and sent her a coupon. And
yeah, so what I just didn't understand about the whole situation was she obviously seen the product. The product is what it is. Like, granted, if it was a T-shirt where it was maybe a size too small, this, whatever. So the face masks are, it like on the website it just says like one size fits all or whatever it says, right? You know what I mean? And then it has the design on it, and it says polyurethane or whatever it was. And she was just like, I tried it on. This is mid-COVID, by the way. You know what I mean? It's
this was early. We were pretty early on those.
So it's like, why would you try to return something that, but whatever. It's neither here nor there. But this kind of getting off the...
I'm not sure those have held up to the test of time either. I don't know if we would ever do... Well, we wouldn't... I don't think we're able to do face
I would hope we
again,
don't go through another pandemic. But
I guess the ones that I'm complaining about, I wore that was the only mask I wore. So I guess I was...
Dude, I love our mask. I still wear them every day in class, and the only time I've ever asked for another one was like a year after the fact. I asked for you a couple weeks ago, and I wear them every single time. I'm definitely a product of wearing your stuff.
We have some blues, which the summer's coming up, so they might. But I don't. I still wear the black ones.
Yeah, the black ones are sick. But no, I was kind of going off the beating path of what we were originally talking about with the
customer satisfaction and returns.
So the another thing is I always see on websites the it's like the Afterpay or something. It's like it's installments of
Affirm.
Affirm, right? And that kind of makes me
question. That's the people who do my Peloton bike. So they're just all they are is a financing company, and typically they're the 0% interest ones, because the way that 0% interest works is the company that's selling you the product is paying them whatever that interest would have been. So behind the scenes, like the Peloton bike is like whatever it is, $2,000, right? And you're getting 0% interest for 2 years, right? There's a cost associated with them carrying that money, and basically Peloton's behind the scenes paying that fee. So if it's 6%, $120, whatever. So Peloton's paying them up front $120 to give you the 0%. So someone's paying it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like no
but
free
Affirm
lunch
is
type
the
deal.
company I think you're talking about.
Yeah, so with them, I kind of I saw a video online. I don't know if it was TikTok or whatever, and it was just like, if you're a business and you're doing this, like, stop doing it. And it's because it kind of enforces bad spending habits. But in your case,
why is that?
Well, but in your case, the Peloton, that's like a good example. That's like something that's a bike, right?
Yeah.
For clothes, I could see how that argument could be made, because like if you're not going to have the $20, why would you want to have the 4 payments you know what I mean? So it's kind of promoting like a bad spending habit. And it was just like another ethical thing where it was like, if you're a business, like a clothing business or some sort of like it was like a jewelry, I think, business in that example, it's just like you should stop running that. But for one, we're not just going to take strangers' advice online, but for two, I could see where they're coming from,
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, well, clothing's a little bit of a different story, right? I can't imagine anybody doing it, but I mean, who knows? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, for stock.
but that, I mean, that's the world we live in. Everything is almost a subscription, right? We talked about the subscription model, right? So I mean, it's even
No
hardware
different.
is the same sort of deal, and if you look at it, right, it really is nothing more than a subscription model when you're kind of paying monthly for anything.
Yeah, I could see that argument as well. I could
Yeah.
definitely see that. I mean, it definitely falls in the same category.
I mean, I'm paying monthly for a Peloton bike at 0% interest over, I don't know, whatever it is, like 39, some
Yeah, right,
ridiculous
right,
amount, right? But it's a subscription model.
That's
right?
why I said I could see the Peloton, but like for clothes, I could kind of see the argument of like, if you don't have it, don't spend it. Example, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, is it our responsibility to,
I guess you're right.
manage your spending?
Finances.
Yeah, I mean,
I could
you
see
can't
that
do
argument.
it, right? It's just,
So
I mean, we're not doing anything blatantly like trying, I mean, like gambling or something where you're kind of, you're dangling a potential. Like it's close.
yeah. I get that. The last thing I have on my note sheet here from another lecture in class was about my professor. So my professor, he's an interesting guy. This is a different professor than the one I talked about previously. He is blind. So he comes to class every day. He has a walking stick, and he has a assistant with him that, will read the board or like the first couple subjects, but he kind of goes off memory. So everything that he talks about is just off memory of what he had. So it's pretty cool. So he takes he lives in Center City, Philadelphia, and he takes the train or the L to like the train station, and then he'll take that to Westchester, and the bus will drop him off.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so he does it all, right? He takes that every single day. And he was telling us about the story. He loves telling these jokes. He loves telling corny jokes, or he loves having story time before class, and he'll play like a skit, like an SNL skit in the beginning, just to kind of warm up the class. This time he talked about someone. So on the L, everyone like smokes like weed or
The
whatever.
L is the subway, right? So I just
the subway. Sorry. It's like it's just like that they call it that in Philadelphia, whatever. So they always smoke weed or whatever. They'll smoke cigarettes or whatever, just in the train. And he said that this morning, because I guess when they always say like how if you lose a sense, you get another one.
Yeah,
it's
your
implant,
heightens,
right?
Yeah,
And he was smelling. And he said that he smelled something like burnt or like something tart. And he was like, I think someone was smoking crack on the L. And I was like, I was just thinking to myself, I was just like laughing. It's a funny story. But he goes on to say, he's like, unfortunately, that ship has sailed for me. He's like, I don't think I could be smoking crack in my 40s. And he just kind of went on a rant about talking about that. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, does he want to try that? You know what I mean? But it was just like a kind of a funny story.
It's funny. I missed my window to smoke crack. I mean, who?
Yeah. So I don't know. He was just.
It's not a window that I think you want to open. That's one that should be shut and sealed. So.
Exactly. No, but it was just like it was a funny story, and I was like, I'll kind of bring
tell
it
you
up.
what, though. I mean, God, I can only imagine. I mean, commuting from. So for those that don't know, right, Philadelphia to Westchester University, that's a good.
About like an hour.
I mean, that's a 35-mile kind of trip,
yeah.
and where the hell does he get off? I'm trying to think. What he takes the train to the bus, and
yeah, so he does. He's on like a very tight schedule. Like I know as soon as
that's
class,
a pain in the ass for the visually
impaired.
I mean, for the people who can see, it's a pain in the ass. I mean, wow.
Yeah, so when he's like I said, he's on a tight schedule. So as soon as class starts, we're going, right? And then as soon as class at 55 or 50 or whenever it ends, that's like kind of it, because he has to maintain a schedule. But yeah, I mean,
so he has time management skills.
Oh, absolutely, he's phenomenal. He kind of has to be, right, when you're on that public transportation thing. But yeah, I mean that's a good point too. I couldn't even imagine going through all those challenges.
Yeah.
Being able to see, let alone, visually impaired, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. Wow.
But that's
kudos to him, though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that was it for me. I mean, this week you said you had a lot of traveling. You were talking about wearing your Yeezys out, and then kind of your people not. So last week, Sunday. So last week I was in Columbus and Cleveland. Flew into Columbus. Flew out of back home from Cleveland, and yeah. So I'm out and about, basically doing a bunch of restaurants and Topgolf and stuff, business meetings and just fun, casual outdoor events. And
for the last bunch of trips, I wear my black Yeezys, the 350 V2s, right? God, they're just so comfortable. And they actually almost come across as a dress shirt. You know, everything's kind of super business casual these days anyway, right? I'm basically wearing like, you know, some sort of pants and a sweatshirt, a branded sweatshirt. But yeah, so I'm wearing Yeezys and, you know, I'm walking around, and of course, you know, my generation, nobody even like
the people
gives
you're in
me
the
the time.
with.
Like, you know, it's just a shoe, right? Nobody says anything, right? And I'm hanging out with a lot of people, and nobody says a word. And sure enough, I'll run across some. I've actually gotten some comments from 20 somethings that, hey, check out the shoes, nice, yeah. And I'm like, funny, and now I notice shoes like.
When you're walking around,
yeah, because I mean, like I was telling you, one of the waitresses, she was wearing Yeezys, and I was like, "Whoa, nice shoes," you know. And I'm like,
"That's pretty cool." Yeah, I don't know. I never looked at it that way. Like, you know, when you kind of just put something on, like I guess like we always kind of talk about the Yeezy. That's a great example. You just kind of don't think nothing of it, but then like when someone comes up to you and they're like, "Yo, nice shoes," or whatever, it kind of makes you feel like.
Well, here's the funny thing though. I mean, like, so I can recognize a pair of Yeezys, but if they were wearing the hot Jordans or whatever, I wouldn't. I know you've had a couple, and I look at them like, oh, those are kind of nice shoes, and you're like, oh yeah, these are the new Jordans that are like $800 shoes, and I'm like, what? Yeah, no. Like I wouldn't recognize Jordans at all. I only know Yeezy because I just kind of have an affinity for them. So
yeah, I kind of, I don't know. I never been like a huge Jordan guy. The only Jordans I really kind of dove into were the off-white Jordans, and that's the one that you're referring to. Those ones I used to resell back in college, and when, you know, Virgil was alive, he would come out with a series of 10 shoes, and they would all be the base Jordan models, and he would add his own twist. He would take them apart, re-put them back together. They would kind of be like rugged, you know, everything, right? And that's kind of what they were. But as far as like the royal blue ones or whatever, you know, you're kind of going into different language as opposed to like the Yeezys or the 350s, you know. It's like that's kind of like more our speed anyhow. But that's pretty dope.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, I don't want to oversell it. I mean, I just happen to recognize Yeezys. It's kind of like, I guess people recognize Birkin bags, you know. Oh my God, look, that woman's got a Birkin bag.
I don't think I've ever seen a Birkin bag.
Or that gentleman has a Birkin bag, right? Because I guess it's appropriate these days. So. So I mean, no, I traveling, and it's funny. I am full into traveling. I'm traveling this week to Minneapolis. I'm traveling the following week to Pittsburgh. So I am back to traveling. I guess for me, COVID is gone finally. So it sucks. At airport, you still need to wear a freaking mask, and I can't tell you how annoying that is. We just got banned again.
Wow. Well, yeah. If we're still going this point, I guess we didn't get banned for the first one. This one will be the nail in the coffin.
Well, you know, the good news is if some fact checker from YouTube is actually listening to this entire podcast, they've helped bump our ratings by
one viewer.
Yeah, one viewer. So
sweet,
that's good.
Thank
Significant
you.
number for us.
Put us on the recommended page for everyone if you're listening.
Yeah,
YouTube guy, you know, put us up there. No, but that's cool. I mean, you said on the traveling trips you're doing mostly like going out with the clients anyhow, like.
Everything. So, I mean, obviously from a business meeting perspective, you still can't do meetings inside offices. Like most of these companies are like, you can't have vendors come in. So everything is off sites, right? So like, I think I told you, right? I fly into a city and I'm doing Topgolf for lunch. I'm doing dinner for the evening, and I'm doing breakfast the following morning, rinse and repeat. So I got to be careful because I am eating like crazy.
So you just like hang out with these people, like
you talk business like as if you were in the office. It's just that because corporations, I guess, are still concerned about liability and stuff like that. No one's allowed in the offices and stuff like that. But nobody cares about COVID. I mean, it's a funny thing. Like you go into these towns and people get together, you're talking, you're in these restaurants and stuff, and no one's wearing masks. It's just nobody cares anymore. Yeah,
no, it's funny you say that, actually. I was helping this older couple move for a buddy of mine, and this guy was helping us move and stuff. He's, I don't know, maybe 40s, 50s, and we were just moving, and I had a cup of coffee in my hand. He's like, do you mind? And I was like, what? He's like, I just need a sip of coffee, like, do you mind? And I'm like, sure, yeah, here, take it. And then he gave it to me. He's like, yeah, I'm triple vaxxed, boosted, and everything. I just was like, nah, that's all you, man. I don't want to head back.
Yeah, that's so
no, I swear to God, this is true story, 100% fact based. He literally said, do you mind? And then I said, what? And then he said, the coffee. And I said, sure, man, here. And he's like, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I just do coffee. So maybe it was like a vice for him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but no, I don't care.
And then he handed it back to you?
Yeah, he
Like,
handed it back to me, and I was just like, no, it's all you. And then,
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah, no, I swear to God.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was at one of the dinners, and one of my coworkers ordered a mixed drink, right? I forget what it was, but he ordered a mixed drink, and another guy said, "Oh, that looks really good. What is that?" And he said, "You want to try it?" And the guy accepted it, and he handed it to him, sipped it,
Gave it back?
handed it back, and he drank it. And I was like, "Oh, I would not have done that."
No,
I just,
isn't that, yeah, now our outlook
and
on
believe
things.
me, I am not a germaphobe,
Yeah.
right? I am the guy who never wanted to wear a mask from day one, right? I don't lose sleep over these things, but yes,
Something
sharing,
about that nowadays is kind of
sharing drinks and
No.
I hate to say it, kind of swapping spit. No, that's I draw the line there. I've never done it, even in even in the non-pandemic times. That's like my drink is my drink,
Well,
and you enjoy yours.
So the weird thing about it is just like you're just meeting a stranger though. So it's just like, how are you not uncomfortable asking for another person's drink or coffee
yeah,
or
that's fine.
I mean, it's one of those things where maybe he was kind of fighting bigger demons than just like a cup of coffee, because he said he gave up booze, so maybe he took the
I suppose
the coffee as like, I need that type deal.
Yeah, I would never even. That would never even cross my mind to ask somebody, if I could have their drink.
Yeah, and then to top it all off, when we were leaving, the guy who we were helping move crashed the U-Haul truck into another person. So, so that was fantastic. I got the hell out of there as soon as I seen that.
Hopefully, he had insurance.
Yeah. This was like a 26-foot U-Haul. It was crazy, huge U-Haul.
Wow.
Yeah, but no, I think
that always ruins a day. In a hurry.
brand new neighbors and they just crash into somebody. So yeah. That's all I got for today, Joe. I don't know. Do you have any other topics, outgoing things you have to talk about?
I don't know. Elon Musk, another kid. Did you see that?
Yeah. He had it looked like a URL as the name.
But he's not with her. I mean, talk about that guy's crazy, man.
Yeah, shout out to Elon.
Props to him.
Yeah, I don't know what else. Yeah, is it with Grimes?
Yes.
The guy. Okay.
Yeah. And the kid's name's like
Another crazy one.
Yeah, it's off the charts. I'm like, oh wow. Hey, when you're a billionaire, I guess you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, apparently he has like 7 kids already. So
he does, but hey, it's spreading the good gene pool, I guess, from potential for some smart people. Hopefully.
Sure. Hey, man.
And rumor has it she's supposed to be some like major
DJ or something.
Mensa person. So
whatever. Hey, man. Well, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 20. This was a good one. All right, so next episode, we got to set a goal. We're going to come prepared, have some stuff to talk about.
Well,
maybe a guest.
I mean, let's talk. We talked for 50 minutes, so it's not like, but it was just kind of, it's always been random thoughts.
It's just random thoughts. I mean, it's just our topics. Like I said in the beginning, that we should get people that have aspirations.
It's exclusive random thoughts minds.
Exclusive
Podcast.
minds. And then our coffee company coming soon. Exclusive grinds. I was talking about that this weekend with somebody. That'd be good. Yeah, we got to come up with something. We got to stay on brand with the coffee, man. I feel like the coasters we were talking about, that'd be pretty sick.
Hey, so if you're a listener, we do have Exclusive Mind podcast stickers, the little green smiley face.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want one, just shoot us an email at team@exmnds.com, and we will drop one in the mail to you. So that's all you got to do. Just shoot us an email. And if you are an audio engineer,
intern,
you want to help us out with that, we would love to. We can send you the raw file, and you can do your magic.
Yeah, I mean, I heard next week we're getting Joe Rogan on the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
Or a big guest coming soon, right?
Wise. Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, God. All right.
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, seriously though, that guy must move some numbers though.
He said he does. He said he was on the what was that show for 11 seasons, and he was making a big deal about it. He was like, "I was on this show for 11 seasons," and then.
Well, you know what? I mean, there's truth to it. Everything he said, he didn't lie about anything. That's the one thing about Donald Trump, right? He's a very braggish guy, but at the end of the day, man, usually what he's saying is backed up with
like
truth.
Martha Stewart and Ben Affleck got on.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's who it was.
Tanked.
Got on and
they
tanked.
did.
Yeah, so
look, I mean, the thing is, he does rinse and repeat quite a bit.
Oh my God, talk about that, man. I mean, and on top of that, they were like, "Are you running again?" And he was like, "I I can't say nothing, but you're going to be very happy.
Yeah,
very happy. That's like,
I mean, that's not him. That's these stupid rules with finance, campaign finance.
I mean, I'll be interested to see who the Republican Party brings to the table. If it's going to be him or if it's going to be that other guy,
DeSantis. But I mean,
is that the brain surgeon or whatever, or the
no?
doctor?
DeSantis is the governor of Florida. So
No. Maybe I was thinking of somebody else. It was
brain surgeon is oh god.
You know who I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, Ben Carson.
Okay.
He's the brain surgeon. He
Gotcha.
was in Donald Trump's administration, so
Gotcha.
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're actually going to end now. So
we're starting to really babble at this point. So all right, cool. Peace out, everyone, and we will
Episode
see
20
you
of The Drain.
on 21.
See you.
Later.
Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. 0 diamonds, 0 chains, from my brain is where I shine. Hit you with them good lyrics, I ain't writing and I'm dying. And right now I'm alive, so check it. I reckon I shouldn't cuss on this record. I don't cuss on them often because I'm applying pressure. Grab that fire grind. 0 diamonds, 0 chains, from my brain is where I shine. Hit you with them good lyrics, I ain't writing and I'm dying. And right now I'm alive, so check it. I reckon I shouldn't cuss on this record. I don't cuss on them often because I'm applying pressure. Grab that fire from my dresser. EXM, who does it better? No, I won't let up. Gas pedal fully pressed, I do the dash to the checks. If it ain't assets, I'm never stressed. I keep it calm and collect. Most of y'all stuck in some debt, and you got bad credit. I learned my lesson, I was young and foolish, now I'm better. I kept my head up through the stormiest weather. Wipe my eyes and focused on where I'm headed. We call that constant progression. If we in Vegas and the option is betting on me, you know we cashing out to the teller. Now let me switch my endeavor, change up my whole approach. Let's have a toast to those who do the most. Achieving goals on the road to their dreams, on the path to the cream, counting stacks with their team, living lavishly, but still actively aware that they can be a casualty, so they don't lack humility and they don't dabble with degree. Yes, they focused on the plan ahead. They know impact will lead to bread, and the bread equals success and less frets. Got some things to accomplish. When someone hits my line, it's not about some nonsense. We making moves, always grinding, we popping. You know we not gonna stop, and never no option but time, and the perfect time is right now. Not caught up in tomorrow. I'm all about making a conscious decision while I'm living. Make a choice, then I'm committed to that vision. I pivot if necessary. It's scary when you get caught in a position that isn't hitting you down bad because your persistence in the wrong direction. Just learn your lesson, you gotta check it. Audit you and keep on getting better. That's the motive, that's the method, and I'm headed further than I ever thought I could make it. I wouldn't stop unless my pulse flat lines like that doctor lost his patience.